So please, everyone, welcome Diego with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here. It's incredible how our society changed in the last 25 years. And things that today we give for granted, like being able to access all the information in the world, or being able to communicate with anybody in the world at zero cost from the palm of our hands, were impossible to imagine only 25 years ago. And that revolution in our society occurred thanks to one invention that I call the Internet of Information. That Internet of Information changed many industries. It changed the communication industry. It changed how the media industry worked. Now we go to the social media to understand what's going on in our societies instead of going to the major media outlets. It changed the entertainment industry. We don't buy, CDs or LPs anymore. We exchange the music we like with our beloved ones. And the music industry and the entertainment industry had to change their business model. And in RSK vision, Bitcoin is the cornerstone of a new internet for the transfer of value. But in order to achieve that vision of creating this new internet for the transfer of value, we needed to add smart contracts to Bitcoin. We needed to add decentralized business model. Because in our vision, much like the Internet of Information was built in layers, and we had first TCP/IP that enabled to move packets from one computer to another across the globe, and then we built on top of that protocols to replicate things like the mail, the traditional mail, but in an electronic form, and we created the email. In the same way, Bitcoin is the first layer of this Internet of Value that enabled us to store value resiliently in a way that cannot be confiscated, that can be transferred across the globe without intermediaries. But when we think about the transfer of value, we do much more than just transferring value. We attach agreements to the transfer of value. We have contracts attached to the transfer of value. So the vision of RSK was taking Bitcoin to the next stage, taking Bitcoin to the next evolutionary level by adding smart contracts to it. And why Bitcoin? Well, we choose Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency, the decentralized network for transfer of value with the biggest infrastructure in the world. So we wanted to leverage on all the infrastructure that Bitcoin built over the years. And also Bitcoin is the currency, the more widely accepted cryptocurrency. And building liquidity and building markets is a very tough process. So we wanted to use all the work that Bitcoin has built over the years and not reinvent the wheel, and focus on just the part that we think was missing. But we know that Bitcoin has limitations. We know that Bitcoin is not very good to represent other assets beyond Bitcoin. We know that Bitcoin doesn't scale well, that it can process maybe 7 transactions per second. And if we put this in perspective, PayPal is processing around 90 transactions per second and serving 160 million people. So we wanted to solve some of these problems by adding a smart layer on top of it. So in 2015, 2 teams joined together. A team led by Sergio Lerner. Sergio is one of the top cryptographers in the space, security auditor of Bitcoin. He found 9 security bags in Bitcoin. So he's a top expert. He has been working on building decentralized technology since 2011. And in 2013, he created the first Turing-complete cryptocurrency 1 year before Ethereum that was called Quixcoin. And together with Adrian, our CTO, and Ruben, our COO, they created an evolution of that cryptocurrency called Nimble. At the same time, I started creating the grassroots movement of Bitcoin in Latin America. I started in Argentina, but then I helped create communities in all Latin America, together with Gabriel, my partner. And we realized, as we were creating this grassroots movement in Latin America, that Bitcoin was not enough to solve one of the biggest problems in Latin America, that is financial inclusion. 60% of the population in Latin America has no access to the very basic financial services. And we think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a tool to liberate people, are a tool to empower people and give them access to the tools to be prosper and thrive. So for that reason is that in 2015, we joined our 2 teams and we gave birth to RSK, the first smart contract platform secured by the Bitcoin network. And we solved some of the problems because RSK can scale to 100 transactions per second, validation times, a transaction validates on average in 15 seconds. So you could move beyond Bitcoin, and also we decided to be fully compatible with Solidity, the programming language of Ethereum, and have the same capabilities as Ethereum. So we decided to bring together the best of both worlds. The infrastructure and security of Bitcoin, the liquidity and acceptance, worldwide acceptance of Bitcoin as a currency, and the flexibility and great developer community from Ethereum under one roof. So, as I said, our purpose was beyond expanding the technology. We had a clear purpose of solving financial inclusion in Latin America and in the world. Because the same situation we have in Latin America is happening in Africa, is happening in India, and in Southeast Asia. We have 3 billion people excluded from our society because the traditional financial system has no means to provide them service. So with that in mind, we said our challenge is much bigger than this, because we need to serve the 1 billion people that by 2020 will have a smartphone in their hands. And how we can do that if we are so far away? We are still halfway from PayPal, and PayPal is only serving 160 million people. So how we can reach 1 billion people? And with that challenge in our heads is that we decided to move our vision forward and create a new layer on top of Bitcoin that will solve the scalability problems, that will solve the ease of use, and will bridge the gap between decentralized technologies and developers and end users by creating a peer-to-peer network of infrastructure services. And that new project is called RIF. And RIF is not only one service, RIF is multiple services that each one fulfills a purpose. Because as I said, the first problem is scalability, and with scalability comes cost. If you are able to process with the same infrastructure more transactions, then you can lower the transaction cost. So much like Lightning is doing for Bitcoin, Reddit is doing for Ethereum, Lumino, that is our payment, peer-to-peer payment system, can scale RSK capabilities to tens of thousands of transactions, but not only Bitcoin capabilities, but also any asset, any valuable asset that we can think of. And for financial inclusion, that's very important because the people in the slums, they cannot be exposed to the Bitcoin volatility. So they need to have a representation of the local currency, of the peso. So with this, we can provide a financial system that uses the same currency that people already know, but at a very, very, very low transaction cost. With Lumino, we can reduce the cost of transaction to a fraction of a cent of USD. And another thing that is key to enable financial inclusion is create identities based on reputation. Because the people in the slums, the people excluded in our society, they don't have a car, they don't have a house, they don't have a formal paycheck they can show to get access to financial services. But they do have a reputation. They have been building over life, over the course of their lives, they have been building a reputation. And that reputation, although it's invisible today, thanks to these technologies, can be visible, can be recorded in a trusted system. And that reputation becomes the collateral to be able to access financial services. So that reputation becomes so important that we need a place to store that reputation, to create a backup. Because if we have it in our smartphone and our smartphone is lost or we got stolen, then we lose the most valuable thing we have in life. So that's why we created also a decentralized data storage system to protect that reputational identity. Another problem we saw in making these mainstream, in taking these technologies to the masses, is the simplicity of use. And it's very tough for people to know about the, remember the long addresses. So what we did is we created a naming system, an alias. So instead of sending money to a long string of letters and numbers, you can send money to Dieguito. And in that way, anybody can send money very easily and have nicknames instead of exchanging crypto addresses, which are very complex for the common people. On top of that, we created a secure communications protocol, so we could establish a peer-to-peer communication channel and exchange sensitive data among us without the fear that somebody could, capture that information on the way. In the future, we'll have a computing system, so we can do decentralized scoring for risk scoring, to assess the level of credit that the person can receive. And also, we created a protocol for data feeds. So we can take information from the real world into the blockchain in a reliable way, because many times the smart contracts need to know things that happen in the real world to make decisions. But that's not enough, because all these technologies are so complex that even for very good developers, senior developers that are not from the blockchain space, using these technologies is very tough. So on top of this, we are building a set of libraries and APIs, so any developer, any mobile developer, any traditional application developer can embed these libraries and use decentralized infrastructure without knowing how it works. So with that way, we democratize access to these technologies for any developer in the world, not only for the blockchain developers. And then on top of that, many people will build the core applications. And once those core applications are in place, we will see an ecosystem of decentralized applications thrive all over the world. But I told you in the beginning that we were talking about an internet. And the word internet implies a network of networks. So we went from adding smart contracts to Bitcoin into now adding a peer-to-peer infrastructure layer that will scale and simplify access to the cryptocurrencies. And then we will move into an ecosystem, a rich ecosystem of developers and applications that will serve the needs of our society. But we want to take these into other crypto economies. Much like RSK is doing for Bitcoin and is bringing smart contracts, and we are already talking with Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin teams to integrate RSK with them. We want also these peer-to-peer infrastructure services in the future to be available to other smart contract-enabled crypto economies like Ethereum, EOS. So in that way, by interconnecting on different layers all the crypto economies of the world and creating interoperability, we can turn all these isolated crypto economies with different functionalities into a joint network of networks for the transfer of value, giving birth to the Internet of Value. So that's the vision that RSK is chasing, and we don't think this vision is ours. I think this vision is from everybody here and everybody that is working to build these technologies and take them to the society. So our invitation is for you to join, to learn, and to participate in this amazing process of bringing the Internet of Value to life. Thank you. I think we have time for one question, so only one. Anybody wants to make this? No questions? Oh, I thought I don't see you well for the lights. Okay, then thank you.